Good morning. I'm George Mason, president of Faith Commons, an interfaith organization dedicated to amplifying diverse voices from the faith community for the common good. And the common good is what brings us here. Everyone today who is speaking represents some faith tradition that teaches us that we must do something when we believe that injustice results in the suffering of our neighbors. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel once said that, morally speaking, there is no limit to the concern one must feel for the suffering of human beings, that indifference to evil is worse than evil itself, that in a free society, some are guilty, but all are responsible. We are not here just to point fingers or assign blame. We have all contributed to the inequalities that plague our city. I've been in Dallas for 36 years, most of that time as pastor of a large, mainly white Baptist church. And in recent years, we have come to a reckoning of the role we have played in widening rather than closing race-based gaps in our beloved city. About those gaps, when the life expectancy of a person living in 75215 is 22 years less than someone living in 75204, and those zip codes are only separated by 1.1 miles at the nearest point, something is deeply wrong in our city. When Black Dallas residents have a median net worth of only 3% of that of white Dallas residents, and Latinos only 11%, something is deeply wrong in our city. We are far from what Dr. Martin Luther King called the beloved community. And by that he meant a vision of what God wills for the world that we must work together toward, lest we default to our worst impulses and allow the powerful forever to rule the powerless. The city of Dallas has done its own reckoning with racial equity that has resulted in Resilient Dallas and Dallas Forward, approved plans that would work to redress the causes of these inequities and allow everyone to share in the prosperity of our city. Special recognition from previous council members goes to the Honorable Casey Thomas and the Honorable Janie Schultz. The Dallas Black clergy also has agitated and advocated for searing investigation that led to these bold initiatives. Demography should not be destiny, and democracy is the best antidote to it when it is. The prophet Isaiah said, "Woe to you who make iniquitous decrees, who write oppressive statutes, to turn aside the needy from justice and to rob the poor of my people of their right." The city of Dallas has nobly embarked on a path of restorative justice to redress the legacy of ills from intentional, malignant public policy at the federal, state, and local levels that is evident still in our everyday life here. But now the federal government has mandated the elimination of these DEI programs, claiming they discriminate against, wait for it, white people. Defiance means sacrificing more than $300 million in grants that are needed for housing and other things that directly would affect many of the people we most want to help. We understand what this means for our city staff and elected officials. They are being held moral hostages to an ideology that our democracy has worked to defeat. Federal mandates should only be used to defend democracy, and protect the rights of those whose rights have been denied. This mandate is one of many that further privileges the rich over the poor, whites over minorities, the powerful over the powerless. As people of faith, we cannot stand aside or be silent in moments like these. Dallas's Welcoming Community Project asserts that all means all. And until it does, the dream of an inclusive and a harmonious Dallas will remain only a dream. I'm joined today by colleagues of goodwill from across the spectrum of race and religion. They will introduce themselves and speak for themselves. Afterward, we'll have a few minutes for questions, and there will be a handout of brief quotations from our speakers. We begin, though, with a prayer from the Sufi tradition, offered by our friend Hadi Jawad.
Good morning. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. A universal prayer of an Islamic mystic, Hazrat Inayat Khan, who came from India to the US in 1910. O thou, who art the perfection of love, harmony, and beauty, the Lord of heaven and earth, open our hearts that we may hear thy voice, which constantly cometh from within. Disclose to us thy divine light, which is hidden in our souls, that we may know and understand life better. Most merciful and compassionate God, give us thy great goodness. Teach us thy loving forgiveness. Raise us above the distinctions and differences that divide us. Send us the peace of thy divine Spirit and unite us all in thy perfect being. Amen.
Good morning. My name is Casey Thomas, former Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Dallas and former council member for District 3 of Dallas City Council. Thank you, Pastor Mason and Faith Commons for coordinating this press conference. It was disappointing to see that the Dallas City Council this past Wednesday decided to put a hold on the racial equity plan and all programs associated with diversity, equity, and inclusion. We are aware of the executive orders signed by the current resident of the White House, that's what I call him, and the harm to the progress that has been made in this city as a result of the work centered around racial equity. This will be the first time in the past 4 years that we will have a city budget that will not have a commitment to racial equity. As the council member who led the city through not one, but two resolutions on racial equity, I want to challenge this council to uphold the commitment to equity without having a mandate. Our city budget is a reflection of our values, and we who stand united here today value equity and don't want to see the city lose ground on the progress that has been made. I ask those of you who are here and those of you who are currently serving to honor that commitment, whether it's a policy that has been placed on hold or not. Honor the commitment that we made to racial equity and see the work continue to get done. Thank you.
Good morning. I am Reverend Damian Madison, Project Manager for the King Center Better Together program. I would like to, in this moment, to pause and echo and lift up an important moment and thought of solidarity. between faith leaders of all traditions on this morning. I want to echo the importance of creating what Dr. King called the beloved community. In doing so, we must use love to correct anything that stands against love. Today we demonstrate what it means to love neighbor as self, not as a geographic term, but as a moral concept. It is love that ensures commitment to racial justice and equity. It is love that addresses policy that prohibits and precludes access and progress. It is love that ensures equitable access to contracts and advancement. It is love that fuels our commitment to corrective reconciliation. In this moment, we stand together in love to correct everything and anything that stands against love. Love for neighbor, love for self, and living justice, not by discussing how love looks, but by being how love acts.
Good morning. My name is Reverend Victoria Robb Powers, and I stand here as a Latina Baptist pastor committed to this city and devoted to a God who calls us to do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly no matter the cost. We are here because our city is under threat. The Trump administration has demanded that Dallas abandon its racial equity initiatives or forfeit $300 million in federal funding. Let us be clear, this is political extortion. This is the abuse of power to coerce our city to betray its own moral commitments. It is unjust, it is unholy, and it will not go unanswered. Our racial equity work is not charity, it is justice. It is not discrimination, it is reparation. The inequities we see in Dallas today are not coincidental. They were built brick by brick through intentional public policy by federal, state, and local governments. The racial equity work our city has begun is not about dividing us, it's about healing us. To our city leaders, we acknowledge the weight of the choice before you, but we, the faith community of Dallas, expect our city to find every legal path forward to keep our commitments alive. Compliance with an unjust demand is not the same as righteousness. And so we urge you, do not let a threat from Washington decide the moral direction of our city. If we surrender now, we tell the next generation that justice is negotiable and that dignity can be traded for dollars. This is a lie we will not tell. Dallas must show the nation that our values are not for sale, our vision is not for rent, and our commitment to justice cannot be bought off or bullied away. Our communities have waited too long for these commitments to be made real, and so we cannot give up on them now. The same God who delivered Israel from Pharaoh still calls us to resist oppression today, so that is what we will do. We will resist oppression and we will refuse silence. We will be the conscience of this city until Dallas stands free to choose justice without the heavy hand of state or federal governments pressing it down. May God give you and all of us the courage to do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly together. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Though I'm listed as a community leader, I like to introduce my faith. I am a Shia Ismaili Muslim, which is the second largest Shia interpretation of Islam. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I would like to begin by sharing the timeless words of the 13th century Persian poet Sadi from his poem Bani Adam, which calls on us to recognize and respond to one another's pain. He says, "Human beings are members of a whole, in creation of one essence and soul. If one member is afflicted in pain, other members will remain uneasy. If you have no empathy for human pain, the name of a human you cannot retain." Sadi reminds us that we cannot truly claim our humanity if we turn away from the suffering of others. Today, the city of Dallas stands at a crossroads. Moral and ethical choices lie ahead. Communities that rely on the city's commitment to equity and justice are watching and waiting. Their dignity and well-being are in the balance. This is not the time to yield to administrative pressures. It is a moment to reclaim the city's responsibility and power to serve its people, especially those who need it most. To our city leaders, know that the faith community stands with you. We are here to support a decision rooted in courage, justice, and compassion, even if that means challenging administrative directives that fall short of our shared values. I invite all listening to reflect on the words of my spiritual leader, His Highness the Aga Khan IV. He said, "There are those who enter the world in such poverty that they're deprived of both the means and the motivation to improve their lot. Unless these unfortunates can be touched with the spark which ignites the spirit of individual enterprise and determination, they will only sink back into the renewed apathy, degradation, and despair. It is for us who are fortunate to provide that spark. The search for justice and security, the struggle for equality of opportunity, the quest for tolerance and harmony, the pursuit of human dignity, these are moral imperatives we must work towards and reflect on daily. As His Highness has said, the key to future progress lies less in top-bottom system of command and control, and more in a broad bottom-up spirit of coordination and cooperation. In a time marked by rampant materialism, relativism, self-serving individualism, resurgent tribalism, the solution is a deeper spiritual and moral commitment grounded in an ethical framework. Such a framework offers a powerful foundation for both individuals and policymakers, creating a shared responsibility to advance civil well-being and human dignity. Let us not allow fear, especially the fear of losing funding, to compromise our principles. Even in the face of constraints, we must remain steadfast in our commitment to justice. We must find ways for everyone, not just to survive, but to thrive. Thank you.
Good morning, buenos dias. My name is Omar Narvaez. I am a former Dallas City Council member and a former Deputy Mayor Pro Tem of the 9th largest city in the nation. We worked tirelessly on this racial equity plan and to put diversity, equity, inclusion into every policy that we have passed since 2019-21 when we finally got to pass that plan. It's in the environment. It's in housing, it's in transportation. I am a person who personally understands the need for diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'm gay, I'm Latino, and I didn't grow up with a whole bunch of money. But the 38-time convicted felon that is currently occupying the White House has decided that he is going to go to war with our cities, our municipalities. And I can tell you that a lot of people do not feel safe right now. People that look like me that are being hunted down. And these agents don't care whether you are a criminal or you are just a grandmother trying to sell whatever it is in order to survive, who has done nothing wrong. And so these policies, I understand having to make tough choices. I had to do it for 8 years. But I can tell you that I have faith and I trust my former colleagues and the new council members. And I have faith in Kim Tolbert, our city manager, that she will get this right, her and her staff, and our council will as well. We need to uplift them, just like George said earlier. We're not here to point any fingers. It's not their fault. But it's also not the fault of the people who need that HUD money, the people who need those transportation dollars, the $22 million that has already been clawed back from this city. Those are people who are going to suffer. So please, let's band together. Let's help each other out. And let's make sure that we are protecting and taking care of each other. Because diversity, equity, and inclusion, all we want is fairness at the end of the day, right? We want to be treated fairly. And that's what it's going to take. So to my past colleagues and the new ones that are there, good luck. I wish you all the best. I'm not allowed to lobby you, but if you need some advice, you can always text me or give me a call. Thank you.
My name is Frederick Douglas Haynes III. I'm the senior pastor of Friendship West Baptist Church here in Dallas, where I've served for 42 years. I'm also privileged to be a part of the Dallas Black clergy that fought and agitated to ensure that there would be a racial equity process program here in the city of Dallas. I'm also a part of an organization, Next Generation Action Network, that continues the tradition of activism and agitation. I stand here because I am heartbroken by the fact that we now live in a world politicized by an ugly game of Trump says. We know about Simon says, but with far more vicious results is the political game of Trump says. Trump says, and the 1964 Civil Rights Bill, as well as all of the second Reconstruction known as the Civil Rights Movement, is eviscerated. Trump says, and not only are certain voters suppressed, but when they do vote, their vote will not count because of gerrymandering. Trump says, and we find ourselves victimized by a weaponizing of politics, especially to attack those who are othered because of how God created them. Trump says, and we find ourselves further and further away from a nation truly that is one, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Trump says is an ugly, dangerous political game that sadly and sinfully has engaged in a political shakedown of Dallas City Council as well as other localities around this country. And we have assembled as people of faith, led by George Mason, my brother from another mother, who understands that together we are better, and that God indeed is anti anything that makes someone feel othered and otherized. And so with that being the case, we are symbolically in this space because we say to our city council representatives, we understand a political shakedown is going on. At the same time, we are calling for moral courage and creativity to afresh understand the meaning of justice. Justice, a moral word, justice, which simply by way of a Freddie Haynes definition is enoughness for everybody, especially the excluded. That's justice. So if you don't like DEI, well, let's come up with enoughness for everybody, especially the excluded. This is 2025. 70 years ago, in December, Rosa Parks took a stand, and a civil rights movement was ignited. This is 2025. 60 years ago, this year, there was the passage of the voting rights bill. We find ourselves now having to make a decision. I guess I'm reminded of what took place in Birmingham in 1963. Martin King was invited by Fred Shuttlesworth to come to Birmingham in order to lead a movement that would eventuate, in the passage of the 64 Civil Rights Bill. King eventually goes to jail. While in jail, faith leaders, moderate faith leaders, decide that they were going to stand for the status quo. And they wrote a letter, an open letter to Martin King on Sunday in the Sunday Birmingham paper. King responded to that with these words among so many others. He challenged them to be thermostats or thermometers. Sadly, those faith leaders in 63 were thermometers that register the temperature, thermometers that go along with the environment. But a thermostat does not register the temperature, it regulates the temperature. A thermostat is not controlled by the climate, it controls the climate. We are saying as faith leaders that we are here not in the tradition of those moderates who wrote King, but we stand in the tradition of King because those moderates were thermometers. King was a thermostat, and we are saying as thermostats that justice will roll down like waters and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. We are saying as thermostats that in my faith tradition, Jesus said he's going to judge a nation by its policies. I'll remix it. Jesus said in the judgment, I'm going to separate the sheep from the goats. And the goats ain't the greatest of all time. The goats are those who basically did not understand the moral meaning of faith. And he's going to say, I was hungry and you didn't feed me, thirsty, you didn't give me anything to drink. I was a stranger and you did not give me hospitality. I was in prison, you did not visit me. I'll remix it as a thermostat and sit down. Dallas, what Jesus say about us? I was hungry and you cut SNAP benefits. I was hungry and you did not set up programming to feed those who were hungry, but instead you swept the unhoused under the rug and hid them so that they would not be in the sight of persons who were visiting us during convention season. I was thirsty and you did not give fresh water. I was a stranger and you allowed ICE agents to come in like slave patrols and do damage to our Hispanic, brown, and black Latino brothers and sisters. I was in prison because you allowed your prison industrial complex to do damage to us. And Dallas is going to say, Lord, when did we do this? In as much as you did it to the least of these, my sisters and brothers, you do it also unto me. My challenge to us is, will we be thermometers or will we be thermostats? Morally, we are called to be thermostats.
My thanks to all those who spoke this morning, and looking out, I just want to say there are so many more who have a rightful place in front of this microphone or behind it, and thank you for allowing us to represent you, but thank you for all the work you do in support and in solidarity for these aims. Now, if you haven't understood fully why we are here, in sum, what we are saying is that we denounce and we decry the Trump administration's mandate to undo the hard work of racial equity our city has committed itself to. We understand that city officials can't say what we can say, and so we are saying it. This is wrong. But we are also demanding that our council and staff find every possible means within federal guidelines to advance the righteous cause of racial equity in our budget priorities and in our government policies. We know the staff is making plans to meet this challenge, but we also know the axiom of business, that you can only manage what you can measure. Their job has gotten infinitely harder by design. So we will be watching intently, praying diligently, until equal opportunity becomes a reality for everyone without discrimination. Thank you. So we have a few minutes for questions. Anyone? Yes, sir.
Hey, Everton Baird with the Dallas Morning Game. We appreciate it all coming together so as a hackers media to discuss this. What you touched on it a little bit in your last statement, but what specific response are y'all hoping to get from either the city council or city manager? Or hoping for the city to reinstate the racial equity plan and MWP requirements? Are y'all hoping City Manager Clergy sends out a statement, affirming the city's commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion? What does purge is something that's been repeated multiple times? What does purge look like in reality after this?
Thank you for the question. The question really is, what do we expect from city staff and council in response to this? I mean, look, we understand that they are being presented with a devil's bargain here, okay? And that $305 million is an important amount of money that will specifically go toward helping the very people we are defending in this process. But we also don't want them to accept the circumstances that have been presented to them. These demands, as if this is simply a way of doing business. We expect them to find every possible means to rename programs as necessary, to fund the priorities that we have been talking about, that we have agreed upon. Look, if you have a Venn diagram of poverty and race in this city, the overlap is undeniable. So yeah, we can call it a poverty program, all right? We can use other language. The problem is, again, you can only manage what you can measure. When we start saying we can't say certain words, we can't identify where the problems are, that we have to obfuscate this. Well, what's behind all of this is the hope that we will revert to a way things once were, where we're not paying attention to who's really being hurt. And so ultimately, you know, because we can't do this and we can't do that and we can't do this, well, we're going to allow the way of least resistance to give us the kind of results we always got when that was the way we operated. So what we're saying is we want in city staff offices, in budget meeting priorities, we want creativity, we want our smart people that we have hired and elected to be able to recognize what the priorities of Resilient Dallas are, what the priorities of Dallas Forward are, and say, how can we do this within federal guidelines, and how can we pay attention to the outcomes? The outcomes, look, people say there's a difference between equity and equality, and that you're trying to mandate outcomes. Well, look, how do you want to measure things? At the end of the day, the city can't determine outcomes, but it can determine opportunity for those outcomes. That's what equity is about. That's what government policy is about. But how do we know whether it's working? We know by the outcomes, okay? And so we want to be able to figure out how to measure that in a time when we're being told you can't. So this is going to take a lot of hard work and creativity on the part of our staff and council, but we think they're up to it, and we expect them to do it. Right. Somebody else? Yeah.
Greetings, my name is Lotus Coates, and I am a member of the South Dallas community.
Thank you.
And I'm here representing myself and my sister who is trapped because we care about our community. We are part of a lot of the establishments that are here, and so we're grateful for people that come out and say something when we need to say something. I appreciate being with Frederick that it's the silence that is part of the power, yeah, for Dr. Haynes. And we don't really learn from that. So my question to you is, what are the legal options? Are we considering any types of legal options that are surrounding the city should they decide to continue to be so like this? And because we know that we had to work it from all arenas. We had to do what we had to do legal, and we had to come out and be a part of seeking them. Thank you for letting me share, because our folk let us can and to share my heart.
That's right. So I think there's two questions legally. One is what the city does legally, and whether the city abides by the federal guidelines and receives the money, or it decides not to, or it decides to bring legal action against the administration for all of this, which will cost a lot of money and a lot of time, and I don't know how effective that will be in the end. That's not really up to us. I think that's up to the city staff and legal authorities to figure out. I think the other side of that question is, if the city does not hold fast to the priorities that have been established and voted on and worked toward for racial equity, will we have, as an entity, find a way to bring suit against the city to hold them accountable for that? That's not something we've entertained yet to this point. This is a first statement on our part about being together in solidarity, but we are serious about this, and whatever it is that is necessary for us to be able to see these priorities enacted is what we will consider. Mm-hmm. Anyone else? Yes, Deb.
Guess a lot of them is tired yourself being kind during. I appreciate what you're just saying about the measuring and the outcomes, because we can't look at the outcomes. If we have no outcomes, we can't look at content. And I'm very concerned about how perhaps it's this group that we want to have less, but some intentional regular way to establish accountability and to say, this is what's going on, this is how we maybe participated, this speak to accountability.
Yeah, the question is accountability beyond this press conference, right? Yeah. And I think what you should understand is that the people in this room have thick relationships. They have been at this together for a long time, and they are not going away. we have called a press conference, but we are not going back to our homes to say, now we've done our duty. So the question is, then how will we organize for ongoing scrutiny to see that these things come through? And we will have to make decisions about how we organize, whether we have a task force of oversight or some such thing, and that's something we'll work together, because Faith Forward is one organization. We organize the press conference, but it's not that we have pride of place about this. As you heard, the Next Gen Network and Dallas Black Pastors and other groups have been working, Faith Forward Dallas, in this space and in this community, and we work together. This is not a competition of organizations. This is a collaboration of organizations. And so we'll be in concert with one another about this. Yes, sir.
My name is Todd. I think nobody. How many people over 76 years? Over 76. I was here with Dr. T. I keep on visiting. I saw what he did, when what he said, and what he would change wasn't. It wasn't about margins, film style, and praying much of the same. That we did with that, but also, I say, I was here with Kennedy, and things like that. I was here. I've been here a long time. We were out nuts concept. Our nuts called the Dapper Dog as and the justice. And what I wasn't gonna say anything, but I have to, because I've seen my children die in schoolhouse, and everybody's talking loud, ain't saying nothing. So I just want to let you know, I ain't got much time. I stay here on this night. But what we're going to have to do is all about the money. That's right. We're going to have to sit down and talk about the money. Because this devil would be there. He got 34 not indictment convictions. I fought in the war combat army, and that was the time that missed that you're talking. Only way we can do is break out the committees and talk about how we going to control it with money, because he won't get there without the money. And that's what it's all about. It's all about the money. Thank you. Thank you. Please. Hold it.
I'll be back. The city manager or president Haynes.
There's a meeting on Thursday, and there have been communications with current council members and with the city manager. So look, again, this is not a confrontational moment against our city staff, city manager, or city council. If it comes to that, it will come to that. But we don't see that. We believe that they are trying to act in good faith, and we are simply here to say that we expect them to do that, and that we will be watching, and that we will be partners with them in that. You know, there's a lot of ways to go about advocacy, and sometimes it has to be accountability, and sometimes it has to be we'll walk side by side. As long as we're walking in the same direction, we can do that. If we're not, it'll be otherwise. So, anyone else? Yes? Yes.
I just like to bring things quality that like lazy that with how many people they people in the community know. They heard it on the business and they caught this really that little color ring and got three of their witnesses. They popped out of the newspaper. Let's get this lane. You decided. And therefore, how many people in the community know, like, you know, mom had you out the street or a young girl had, you know, her children about, you know, what this means to the city of Dallas and forward. They say it's because, like I said, people see and they hear, but they don't hear. So how can we get the word out to the community? Are we going to community meetings? Or why do we have home associations meetings? Or how we going to let the community know? Right? Thank you very much.
I don't know the answer to that. Okay, and I think our congregations are a good place to start. I think person to person, social media, the places that we gather, barbershops and beauty shops, and all the things that we can do to keep this conversation alive and paying attention. So listen, I think we've run our time. I thank you for your attention today. I invite you to be part of this ongoing work and these coalitions that we are trying to build, and I thank you for being present. Have a good day.